were government policies and how it's affected the country. What's your position on that?
I mean, honestly, my position on what has clearly become a canker is that politicians who do that should be shunned. And even though in the Constitution, successive governments are enjoined to continue projects of their predecessors, it doesn't appear that there are any sanctions for governments that come and there is shared credit. You have ministers of state who come and they want to have their own footprints, their own legacy. So they will not continue existing projects. I do not know the state of the E-blocks now. I mean, the last time we asked in Parliament what's happening to them, it was clear that the 124 we started, at least 50 completed. The rest, there's really no commitment. If those E-blocks had been completed, we wouldn't have double track with that. I think the time has come for us to, as it were, put in place in our legal regime more stringent provisions, and it should come with sanctions. I mean, how do you explain, for example, and it's at all levels, a DC comes to power and he wants to have his own projects, he wants to start afresh, when you can use about half of the money that you are using to start fresh projects to complete all the existing projects, existing schools, for example, you know, so that it doesn't matter. Track is a clear result of the lack of planning and lack of provision for adequate infrastructure. That is why when free SHS was being promised, the promise didn't come with double track. Double track came during implementation when there were clearly, you know, implementation hitches as a result of the fact that we didn't have adequate supply of, you know, dormitories, classroom blocks, laboratories, you know, computer labs and what have you. So how is it that in this situation, we cannot have a commitment to complete the E-blocks? Is it because somebody else will take credit? So some of us have been advocating that the pettiness in our politics is becoming too much. And I think that it's on all sides. So those who don't want credit to be shared, no, I started and finished. And then those who also probably will not give credit when you complete a project that you came to meet. As MP, I have completed a lot of projects that I came to meet because it's easier. Some of them 70%, 80%. You finish it. What matters is that the community is benefiting. The people are having value for money. Because what happens when you abandon these projects, by the time you return to them, you know, you have to do variations and the cost will have gone up, sometimes threefold, fourfold. So the taxpayer is having to spend far more when the taxpayer can get, in terms of real value, about 3 or 4 of those projects if you had finished when it ought to have been completed. So it's a bane. It's really retarded our development, and I think that the time has come for the political class to rise above the pettiness.
Great.
And this will dovetail also into having a national plan. There's too much emphasis on manifestos.
Okay.
Party manifesto, NDC manifesto, MPP manifesto. Where is our national plan? I remember Vision 2020 that the Rawlings administration put together. The Kufuor administration came and it virtually, you know, jettisoned it, you know, put it aside. Then the Mahama administration, when we were in power, Professor Kwesi Boche, Dr. Nimoy Thompson, at the NDPC, came up with a 50-year development plan. Where is that? The 50-year development plan, I had the senior minister, Yao Safumafo. I think I asked that question when I used to serve on the appointments committee before I resigned. He said that he doesn't believe in long-term plan. You have a 4-year mandate, just come and work on that mandate, fulfill your manifesto promises. And I cringed. I mean, we belong to the Africa Union. That has Agenda 2063. We belong to the United Nations. That has a long-term development plan for the world. Every 15 years, they come up with either the Millennium Development Goals or the Sustainable Development Goals.